Well, the Springboks winning the Rugby World Cup has been celebrated, some as a factor that may unite South Africans. Proudly SA has celebrated the win by the Boks, saying it brought good news that was much needed by the country. Proudly SA also says it's heartening that the green and gold worn by the Bok team is all produced in South Africa. Well, for a reaction on the story, I'm joined now by Eustace Mashimbye, the Chief Executive Officer of Proudly SA. A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Lindy.
I mean, as I said in the intro, this win was much needed for South Africa, and you know, it's even prouder for us as South Africans knowing that the Boks were in Japan wearing proudly South African suits, and all the supporter jerseys that we were buying, especially those that were not, you know, bought on the corner of the streets or in China Mall, were all made and manufactured in South Africa.
Yeah, and I think that's why we issued the statement and to congratulate the Boks, just like everybody else. But we took it a step further and said that what they're doing is commendable. And they're leading the way. And that's why in the piece that we issued out, we are calling on all other sporting codes. I mean, we took on Bafana and Safa when they wore suits made in Turkey when they went to Egypt. We all know how that turned out. I'm not saying that's the reason why it turned out the way it did. But what we're saying is that it's possible. It's as practical as the national team choosing to support local jobs. And one of the things that we advocate for is the fact that as fans, for you to take your family or even just one member of your family to a game to support your team costs a lot of money. How are we going to keep those people employed such that they can afford to go to those games? You have to support the jobs in the economy. And what the Boks did when taking a decision to buy their suits locally, to make sure that the supporters' jerseys are made locally, we commend Saru for that. I think it was a big step, and we are calling on all other sporting codes to follow suit.
And tell us a bit about these suits. I understand there's a relationship between President Cyril Ramaphosa's suit maker and the person responsible for ensuring that the Boks were wearing proudly South African gear as well.
Yeah, so it's a company called House of Monatic. It's based in Salt River in Cape Town with a very colorful history. I think they've been around for a while. In fact, at this time of the year, last year, they spoke to us about the fact that they were about to share jobs. And that's why when we went to see the president ahead of the State of the Nation address, we called on him to go find that factory and support it. We gave him options of suits, where to find. But we specifically said to him, this is a factory that is in distress, support them. Because I had met with the owners and the people who ran the factory before that. We sent him to Skinny's Socks, who's a member of Palace of Africa. We sent him to Matrosa. We sent him to Edgar's, which has locally made shirts. So we told him where to find the shirt, the tie. We sent him to Dig Wigginton, which makes the kind of shoes that he would, feel good in.
Yeah.
The older generation kind of shoes. So we told him that it's as practical as that. We spoke to his advisor. We sent out a letter. And we made it practical for him to find that. And we are happy that the Boks coincidentally are using the same factory. And apparently this is not the first time they use the factory. They've used this factory before for the green blazers that are worn by the Springboks every time they go on tours or they go to the World Cup.
And just the manufacturing of the supporter jerseys that we have been wearing and we've been buying. I mean, you and I had a conversation off air about, you know, having to buy those jerseys for our little ones and the high cost and, you know, a lot of parents saying this is just too much. But it was so worth it, you know, seeing the pictures of the young children every Friday in the lead up to that final match wearing their Springbok jerseys. Tell us a bit about the significance of this and really when we say we're uniting the country, just how far those jerseys were able to do just that.
And look, I think we're in a country that is battling high levels of unemployment. And we know that the results of that is the poverty. I mean, I spent an evening with my niece who runs an NGO. And the stories are saddening of the kind of support that they're giving the households that they have to support, that have no food to place on dinner tables. So those people who are in jobs, who are breadwinners, who work in these factories that make these jerseys, will appreciate and will benefit from us making decisions to buy those jerseys. And that's why, as expensive, and we were talking about it, as expensive as it is, besides the feel-good factor that you have when you have the exact replica of what your hero is wearing on the field, what feels better, though, and makes it worth our while, is the fact that you know that there's a household where the breadwinner's job has been safeguarded and has been retained simply because we are making those purchasing decisions. These factories need orders.
Absolutely.
And it's the same garment that you get when you place the order in South Africa or when you place it in a factory outside of the country. The only difference is that when you place it in a factory outside of South Africa, you're creating a job there. But when you place the order here, And we buy those jerseys, and that's why we discourage people from buying these knockoffs. As much as at that moment you feel like you've saved up, but you have done nothing to help the economy, you have done nothing to help your brother, your sister, your neighbor who's unemployed.
Absolutely.
And that is what the Buy Local campaign, championed by Private South African, is about. It's about making sure that South Africans, whether in the private sector, whether in the public sector, whether in our own homes, whether sporting codes and sporting bodies that make purchasing decisions, so whenever they buy that which is locally made.
Well, I'm eager to hear how the Buy Local campaign has been going. For now, though, I want us to cross live to our sports reporter, Pashka Mudli.